Hello guys, welcome to a new session of the development of our Budget app API. In this session, we'll be tackling the process of actually listening out the user transactions, because one of the requirements in our documentation is for users to be able to see the detailed page of expenses selected or for selected dates or months. And for them to be able to do that, they should be able to at least see the list of transactions before they can start seeing the detail page. So this session, I have already created a method in the transaction handler, and I've also created a method in the transaction service. So the method in the transaction handler, as usual, is expecting the context echo framework, while the one in the transaction service, which is actually the one that is more complex, is expecting the user ID, that is the currently authenticated user ID, a pagination instance, just like we did for our category service. So to make this quite easy, all I'm just going to be doing is I'm just going to copy this method and I'm going to come to our transaction service as well. So for this, what we are expecting is, so if we look at our category service, we can see that our category service is passing a list of categories. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to head back to transaction service and I'm going to pass that in like so. So for this will be transactions, and this will be a list of transaction model. So I should probably set that to be the first parameter that I am passing in. It's just preference. You can arrange it however you want. So from after the transaction, I pass in the user ID. Then as we can see, the category service, it accepts the pagination as well. So all we need to do now is we just need to replace this with TS scope. That is, we are using the pagination scope. So for those of us that did not watch our pagination class, please go ahead on the pagination section. Please read at the top of right hand corner of your screen. Then we pass in the list of models, that is the list of transactions. Pass in the transactions as usual. We also need to do where, right? Where user ID equals to the user ID passed, or we can just even use the scopes. So I think our scope can accept multiple, so we can say common dot where user ID scope equals to user ID, like so. Then we need to go to our transaction handler, and if we go to the transaction handler, I've already created the method. So I'm just going to go to the category handler and try to copy everything right here out of the box and paste. Now this will be our transaction model, and this will be a list of transactions, and this will be a new transaction service, category service. That will be transaction service, and for this will be transactions, and this will be transactions, and this will be transaction service. Not enough argument, so this is expecting an authenticated user, and for that I'm just going to go to one of our methods and I'm going to copy the code for getting an authenticated user and paste right here and say that user dot ID. Oh wait, it should come right here, user ID. Yes. So as you can see, if we go to the list, expecting the list of transactions, the user ID, and the paginator. Now, once we've done that, all we need to do now is just to go to, so this will be paginated transactions, and like so. Then we need to just go to our route and add the API to actually get a list of transactions. So this will be handler.list transactions, like so. Let me just remove this. Yeah. So let's go to our document. Let's go to our code, our Postman. But the first thing we need to do is we need to actually refresh our application. Yes. Then we go to list transactions. Yeah. So we can see all the transaction that has been performed by this particular user. So for this, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach the wallet, and I'm also going to attach the category of the transaction. So in order to do that, all we need to do is we just need to join the category and the wallet in our query. So if we go back to our lists, all we need to do is just say join category, right? Let me see our transaction model. What do we call it? Yes, category and wallet, correct? So category, transaction service, category, and join wallets, right? So let's try to refresh our application. Then hit the API again. So we are getting some sort of error now. So let's see what the error is. So we are getting column user ID in where clause is ambiguous. So the reason why we are getting that ambiguity is because we have the wallet ID on the category table. Now remember that in our user scope, we created a scope for passing the table of user ID that we want to query by. So I'm just going to come back here and use that particular method, and I'm going to pass in that I want to query by the transactions table. So what this will do is to make sure that the user ID, where user ID is actually making use of this transaction user ID. So let's try to refresh our application and make run dev. Now let's hit the API again. Now, good. So we can see that our wallet and our category is being loaded. So please, if you didn't watch where we actually did this is basically the method we are using. We are accepting the user ID, the table name, and we are concatenating. So that will be giving you something like select transactions or table name dot user ID equals to the past user ID, basically. So let's say the user ID is 1. So that's what this will actually generate for us, and that will help us remove that ambiguity. So now that we are able to actually list out the list of transaction that has been performed by a user in the database, the next thing I'm going to do in the next session is how to actually then make sure that a user can actually see expenses they've done within a selected date and or month. So let's say you want to see the expense that you've done between the 1st of January to the end of January, or the income that you've actually registered between the 1st of January, or basically any range of dates that you actually want to pass into the system. And in that episode, I'll be teaching us how to actually apply filters in Go ORM.